Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and you probably realise over the last couple of days there has been no Andy Burrows. Our illustrious leader is on his hollybobs. For 2 weeks he's in Spain. Normally he would do the SmackDown review show, but he did say that on Saturday morning he said that he had no internet. Now, if you saw a couple of pictures on the Friday night, may have something to do with the copious amounts of Jaeger bombs that were disposed of. But Andy, hope you have a great holiday. So for the next couple of weeks, you just have me and my tag team partner, my colleague, my good pal. Today it's Smack Dave, but obviously we all know him as Dave Robinson. Dave, hello.
Hey mate, you okay?
All good indeed. So SmackDown was on Friday. We appreciate this is Monday. Sorry, but Andy had no internet. Dave was asleep. I wish I could sleep, Dave, but yes. So we're doing it today, but kudos WWE for NXT's Great American Bash last night. If you haven't seen it, I would very much watch that, especially the Eli Dragunov match with Carmelo Hayes. It is absolutely sensational. So I would seriously go out of your way. If you only watch one match on that show, watch that one because it is fantastic. So there you go, Dave. Bit of research and homework if you wanted to watch a bit more wrestling.
Yeah, sounds good.
But anyway, we roll on. SmackDown started with Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and they're talking about tribal combat. I've not said this about the bloodline. Usually when it gets to a point when they need to change it up or they need to insert something or make a change, they do. They're not at the minute, and it just feels very repetitive. I don't know what you made at the beginning, but I just felt that it was sort of going around in circles and going nowhere. And it's the first time that I've really felt that way.
Yeah, I felt like that the last few weeks, to be honest. Even if they're good segments, they don't really progress the story much. And as we've called it, one of the greatest, if not the greatest story that WWE have ever told. I don't want to start criticising it too much, but my bigger issue with it is that I don't believe that Jey's got any chance of beating Roman at SummerSlam. And I think that is the underlying thing for me. I know he's the only man to pin Roman, and he did that in the tag match. But still, there's not enough for me to believe that Jey Uso is going to be leaving the undisputed champion. So I think maybe that plays into it a little bit. And I suppose until we get to that match and we see how they execute that match and the aftermath, we're kind of stuck in this position for a short while.
We are indeed. Yeah, it just felt like they were going and talking about the same stuff. Jey's in trying to get into Roman's head a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's again, there's not been much filler in this storyline, but this does feel like a bit of filler.
Yeah.
And it's as if, we criticize AEW sometimes for not getting the matches in place for the pay-per-view, so to promote them. This match has been announced for a few weeks now, and it seems to me they just want to get to that match now, and they haven't got too much in terms of creativity or different direction with the story until we get to SummerSlam.
Is it the end of it after? Is Roman are they going to be thinking about doing something else with Roman after this, or is there another chapter of it still to go?
I think there's another chapter. As long as Roman's got the title, the Bloodline storyline will continue. Now, that may be without the Usos. I can't see Jimmy coming back and having like a similar match with Roman. I don't see that. They did a lot more with Jey, obviously, during lockdown. We had the main event Jey Uso storyline. So it's fair, really, that they, Jey gets this opportunity and he gets this match at SummerSlam, and nobody's begrudging him that. Would they pull a massive curveball here and put the title on Jey? I just can't see it. No. Maybe they do, and if they do, then I think you could say that Roman disappears for a while. as I'm so convinced that Roman's going to leave with a title, I think the Bloodline storyline continues as well.
And hopefully it'll continue with a new, as you say, a new chapter and gives us something else to look forward to rather than this reputable stuff that we've had the last couple of weeks. The first match, now this was a really, I don't know the word of it. Now it was United States Invitational final between Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar, both members of the LWO. It was a very high-flying, quick-paced match as you could imagine it to be. Went to a commercial, come back off the commercial, and the doctors were looking at Rey Mysterio. The first time ever that an actual legitimate injury has stopped a match that I can remember, like on a television show or television program for a while. Rey got hurt. I'm not quite sure. I don't think it was a suicide dive. I think it may have happened before that, but I don't think the suicide dive helped because his head went back. He may have been concussed. I'm not sure. They ended up stopping the match. The actual ending of the match was supposed to be Santos going clean over Rey Mysterio, but they obviously had to stop the match due to Rey being unable to compete. Obviously, we hope it's not serious, and we hope he gets back in the action soon. Quite a weird one that day, and quite it threw me when it happened.
Yeah, same. I think the last time I remember it happening was Moxley and Hangman in AEW.
Yes.
But certainly in WWE, I can't remember a match being stopped for a long, long time. With it being, as you say, you don't think it was a suicide dive, but anything around head, they don't take any chances anymore, which is the right thing to do. Interesting to learn that Santos was going to be winning this because I wasn't sure whether Rey was going to go over. So I suppose it didn't affect the overall plan too much. And in all fairness, out of the two, we spoke about this the other week. Rey Mysterio, he's 48 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Is it time for somebody, like a Santos Escobar to be given a bigger opportunity? Maybe. So I've got no complaints with the winner. But yeah, best wishes to Rey Mysterio.
And interestingly enough, I assumed that this match would happen at SummerSlam, the winner of this and against Austin Theory, but it's actually happening on SmackDown in 2 weeks. Are WWE giving up on Austin Theory a little bit here?
It's certainly not got the traction they would have liked, given how much effort they put in, and obviously putting in with Vince McMahon to begin with as well. That was kind of there's not too many wrestlers been given that opportunity to work at close hands or close quarters with Vince. I was going to make a joke then, but I better not. No, I won't. I'll keep it PG. But he certainly isn't as over as they would like him to be. He's not as confident or as capable on the microphone as some of the others either. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's like they spent so much time on him, they don't want to give up on him. And he was already put in a difficult situation with his cash-in, and he kind of rebuilt himself a little bit, and he went into WrestleMania with a Cena match. But since then, it's been he hasn't really had much to shout about. There hasn't been too much momentum, not from what I've seen anyway. I don't think Santos Escobar is the man to beat him for the title, though.
No, who would you imagine?
I still think they circle back to LA Knight at some point. I think that was what a lot of people were expecting, given the fact that he didn't win Money in the Bank. They thought we were going to get a US title reign, and I think that would be a lot of fun, actually. Obviously, the crowd really into LA Knight, and he's kind of transitioned now. If not fully, he's kind of almost all the way there in terms of a face turn. He was a bit of a tweener. He was in between personas for a while. But I definitely think, given the reaction he gets, they've got no choice other than to make him a face. And with the US title, I think that would help raise the stock of the title a little bit as well. So I think that's the overall, where we end up.
Yeah, I would have thought so. And kudos to Michael Cole for making a fairly amusing comment when Austin Theory was watching the match in the one of those boxes, and he's there on his own, and Michael Cole went, Austin's there with all his friends.
Yeah, that was a good line.
That was quite interesting. Well on Michael Cole for
I'll give Andy's best commentator of all time credit for that one. All time.
All time, yeah,
All time.
all time. Starting Excalibur. Yeah.
It's obviously
We go backstage. Bianca Belair, Charlotte. Bianca Belair was there. Chelsea Green, Sonya Deville come in. Charlotte comes in and basically says, "I'm going to team with Bianca. We're going to go against you girls." And Bianca's like, and Charlotte goes to make it official. And then all of a sudden, Hit Row come out, and yeah, I think the crickets hit the walls when they come out, and then they're interrupted by LA Knight, who calls Top Dollar, is it Uncle Phil from
Yeah, yeah,
You just didn't know that Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince was rapping. Said
yeah.
that B-Fab had a tingle in her loins because she was horny for him. Ends up beating Ashante. I think that's just to give LA Knight some time on TV and just burying the group that they're just burying in the minute anyway.
Yeah, a bit of mic time, get his finisher over a little bit more as well. The blunt force trauma, is it?
Yes.
That he picked up the win. These guys, so those guys were with Swerve in NXT, and were they popular in NXT?
Yes,
Because
they
as
were
you say,
great.
yeah, I don't know if it's just because they're not got Swerve, or I don't know, because they left and brought them back, I think. So maybe they've been caught in between the politics, similar to a Karrion Kross, similar to Eric Young, who kind of obviously left because of the changes. He came back, and then when Vince was back involved, he was out of there. So maybe Hit Row are the biggest kind of the biggest victims of the change in creative direction.
I remember Hit Row. They come up the first time. Within 2 weeks, they were released.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see they might as well just go back down to NXT. I don't see the point in them.
It certainly doesn't seem that Vince McMahon sees a lot in them.
And Triple H loves it. Well, he's the one that brought them all back, and he's running creative to a majority. I mean, Vince McMahon's just had major spinal surgery last week, I believe. So that was obviously he's not going to be. I suppose he walked out of that. You know what he's like. I think someone said on there when they said that he had major spinal surgery, there was a comment on the social media what they gave him a spine.
Oh,
Jesus Christ, it was quite crazy. We did forget a bit. We did forget a little bit prior to it. It was Jey Uso was walking out the back. Grayson Waller basically got to him and said he's going to give him the Grayson Waller rub. And after SummerSlam, when you've lost to Roman Reigns, you can come on my show, and it will be Grayson Waller effect with little Jey. Jey also smacked him in the face. And ultimately later on in the night, that is the main event: Grayson Waller versus Jey Uso. The women's tag was next. We already said that was coming up. That was already made before that. Now, before that match starts, is the really bit I'm interested in. They cut to the back, and there's Lashley with the Profits. And he's now getting them all suited and booted. Now he's changing the look of the more Angelo Dawkins one. I mean,
yeah, it's more so Dawkins, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say Montez was kind of already in a smart look. Dawkins was just wearing like
sweatpants.
Yeah, and Lashley's there in like a proper suit. Montez Bald is sort of reasonably smart, and then Dawkins is in these sweatpants. I said when I first come on to the podcast, I said to Andy, I want to see the Profits and Lashley as the Hurt, and basically another form of the Hurt Business, to turn heel. I wanted Bianca to turn and go into it as well. I don't think she is, but I'm really interested to see where they go with Lashley and the Profits.
Yeah, I think this is good. I know there was a major uproar really when they split up the Hurt Business, because it was quite a popular faction, although it wasn't going for all that long in terms of amount of time. Does this mean Cedric and Shelton are in with a shout as well, do you think, or do you think it's just a new direction, new faction, and it's, I suppose the aim of it really is to build Lashley back up, I suppose, as elevate the other talent as well. But you've got to be seeing Lashley as a top tier guy these days.
I would have thought that this is going to be a new direction. I don't think we'll see any of the older ones. Well, I suppose you don't rule out MVP, but he's on Raw, I believe. Omos. I know is Omos a free agent. I don't even know what was going on with that anymore.
Yeah, I think he was.
Oh, okay. So in that case, maybe you can see Omos an MVP. But yeah, I think the new direction. I think this is also to help Montez Ford get into that position where he can start, getting ready for a run at one of the, not necessarily Roman, but one of the titles.
Intercontinental, maybe.
Yeah, single title. I know.
Or US. Yeah.
Or US. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be US when it on SmackDown.
Yes, exactly. But I'm interested to see where that goes, and hopefully in the coming weeks they'll get that small, maybe even as early as SummerSlam, something will happen, and they will come together, and we'll see what happens with those. The women's tag match was pretty much short and sweet. Charlotte, Bianca, Belair picked up the win. There really wasn't a lot to this match. Obviously, there's the triple threat at SummerSlam. But yeah, pretty much run of the mill. The women's tag team champions haven't won since they won the title, which it doesn't surprise me one bit. With the way they're doing it. But we're saying about this on AEW about booking the division better, and WWE ain't doing much better with it.
Not on SmackDown. Not on SmackDown. I think you'd give Raw the edge in terms of the women's booking in WWE. Obviously, Rhea Ripley. You've had more. Actually, Sonya and Chelsea's run has been on Raw, hasn't it? But when it's come over to SmackDown, as you say, they've defended the titles and they've just lost. So a strange one. I don't know why you build up a team so much in order to put the belts on them, and then as soon as you do, you book them as an inferior team. The fact that Charlotte and Bianca are about to face each other, and the fact that Chelsea and Sonya have just taken the titles, there's a perfect opportunity there to give the champs a win and create some friction or more friction between the challengers. So, yeah, could have been better.
Could have been better. Definitely could have been better. Bailey was backstage with Io Sky. She's still getting spooked by Shotzi. She opened up a bag, I think, and there was more of Shotzi's hair in it. They then announced a SummerSlam Battle Royal. Listen, we've just had 2 weeks worth of Battle Royals on AEW. We had the was it the Casino? And that was
the tag one, and the Raw Rampage was with
that's it. Raw Rampage the week before that. So they're doing the SummerSlam Battle Royal on Saturday, and we're going to have LA Knight is going to be one of the guys in it, as well as Sheamus, and they're going to go against each other next week as well. Adam Pearce reckon he'll have the lineup sorted out next week. Is that just lazy booking, though? I mean,
I thought I must have missed something as to what does the winner of the Battle Royal get? Just the winner of the SummerSlam Battle Royal?
Yeah, I actually don't know. There's nothing there.
Because when LA Knight first started talking, I thought they were going to go into the winner would get a US title shot or something, but they just didn't. And then I thought maybe I've missed something, and I was gonna rewind it back. But yeah, just a Battle Royal for the sake of a Battle Royal. Yeah, you got to have some stakes. You got to have something on the line. You've got to have something that the winner ultimately goes on. Otherwise, it just stops dead. And yes, they could turn it into an annual tournament. But the Andre the Giant tournament, as much as I appreciate the tipping the cap and paying the respect to Andre the Giant, it's not like one of the most looked forward to matches on the WrestleMania card. It wasn't even on the WrestleMania card this year. It was on the SmackDown before.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. If it doesn't lead to anything, you've got to say it's lazy, and it's just a way of getting a few more guys on the card, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. A card with LA Knight on and Sheamus is better than one without it for me. But I'd rather a singles match between those two, to be honest.
Yep, which we'll get next week, or this week, should we say? Maybe they'll announce something on SmackDown this week, and make it a bit more worth it.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross, Karl Anderson next. There was a little back and forth for a bit, but Kross pretty much dominated this. I love his finisher, the final prayer, by the way. I think that's a brilliant finisher. Are they finally getting to a point where they're trying to get Karrion Kross to that level that we know that he's at?
So I'm conflicted with this because of what they did with him the other week with AJ. But I'm a Karrion Kross fan, and I thought when they brought him back, he was going to be one of the top stars, and he just hasn't been. But on the flip side, he's looked really good this week. He got the entrance. He got you know, he got the win over Karl Anderson. But I hate what they've done to Karl Anderson as well. Like, they're just similar to Hit Row. They're just jobbers now. They just go out and they're just used as enhancement talent, really. And I hate that. I really do. I think Karl Anderson is much better than that. You know, you look at some of Karl Anderson's matches in Japan, some of the Good Brothers matches in Impact. They deserve better than this. So on one hand, I'm really pleased that they finally seem to be doing something and going somewhere with Karrion Kross. Disappointed for the whole club, you know, the whole Anderson, Gallows, and Michin. They're just, enhancement talent at best at the minute.
Yeah, it is a shame, and I do hope they elevate Kross a little. I've always liked Karrion Kross, and I think they messed it up. I mean, when he re-debuted, was with Roman Reigns, and you were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he went nowhere since then. So hopefully this is the return to form and to return to better booking of Karrion Kross, and the OC. Well, we'll have to just wait and see.
You've got to think. I mean, I don't know how much they've talked about it, but it was obviously a financial decision to go back to WWE. I don't think it's been the best decision for their career-wise. No. I think they were doing some good stuff in Impact. They appeared in AEW a few times as well. Did, and now they're just kind of part of the roster. They're just there. And you know what? Some wrestlers might be quite happy just turning up, taking a paycheck and going home. But I think their talent deserves better than that.
That definitely does. Yeah, they are very much underused and undervalued. There. Now we go straight into main event. Jey Uso, Grayson Waller. Obviously Uso picks up the win. Grayson Waller looks really strong in this as well, which is kind of a thing where I think that the WWE know that they're onto something with him. He did the people's elbow, or the Australian elbow, or whatever it was, which raised a few eyebrows because literally, because
nice.
Yeah, I had to get it in somehow. They were saying that, well, there has been rumors, although some of the writers have said they're unaware of it, that potentially Grayson Waller is calling The Rock out for SummerSlam. There's a writer's strike in America at the minute, so there's no films being made. He hits the people's elbow. Roman Reigns laughs his head off when he saw it, because Roman was at that point. Roman Reigns had come out and was watching it. Jey Uso picks up the win. He gets a spear and a spike to end SmackDown. But do you think that Grayson Waller is certainly, WWE can see something in him? And what do you reckon the chances are of hearing a certain music of the Great One on Saturday?
I think there's a few things. I think they obviously think a lot of Grayson Waller in the position they've put him in. And his talk show, actually, as far as talk show segments, he's fairly entertaining. He's very, very competent on the microphone. And even his backstage segment with Jey Uso earlier on in the night was pretty entertaining. So I've got no problem with that. I could definitely see The Rock being involved with Grayson Waller in terms of hitting a rock bottom and people's elbow, and, you know, not so much a match, but a part of the show. Whether that will be on SummerSlam or in the future remains to be seen. Interestingly, you know, we were talking about the Bloodline storyline perhaps going a little bit stagnant at the minute. What a way to inject some fresh life into it than the introduction of The Rock. And if they played into something with that, even if it's a backstage segment prior to the main event at SummerSlam, I think that would be very, very interesting. And we may be one step closer to getting the match that has been rumored for the last few years at WrestleMania, with The Rock one-on-one against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I would like to. You can't really have The Rock on a show and not have him at least go face to face with Roman, can you? Really? You know, even if it's walking backstage.
Last time, what? Remind me, Ad. Last time Rock was on a show with Roman, was he kind of raising his hand?
That was a Royal Rumble. That was at the Royal Rumble.
I
don't know. That may have been the last time that he was in a ring with Roman.
Yeah, and Roman hasn't really said much about The Rock in his promos, as far as I can remember. No. You would expect a few more heavier hints being dropped if The Rock was about to show up, but as you say, circumstantial with the writer's strike in Hollywood. There may be an opportunity there for The Rock to do something, and working with someone with Grayson Waller would be the obvious thing, but you would like to think they wouldn't miss an opportunity to link an appearance in with the bloodline as well, even if it's just a tease.
Or to maybe like give Jey a pep talk ahead of the match or something along those lines to sort of,
Yeah, maybe he goes to see both, and maybe Roman doesn't appreciate the visit, or something to that effect. I'm sure there's something that they can do to kind of wet the whistle and get the internet and everybody else talking about that potential huge match again, which we're expecting at the minute Cody Roman next year, or I am. That's the match I see Roman Reigns in, and I think Cody perhaps ends the story. But things can change, and things can change very quickly in the WWE.
Well, they could always do it at the Rumble.
Yeah, exactly.
They needed to potentially. Look, we don't know if he's going to show up. It's just heavily rumored now because of.
Well, listen, the one thing you would say about Roman and The Rock, he wouldn't need the title. It'd be a huge match without it. So if Cody has beat Roman before then, and they've spun off into more like the tribal chief or the Samoan dynasty and bloodline story, then yeah, the title wouldn't necessarily be needed to be around Roman's waist. He's done 1,000 days. He's overtaken. Is he on the way to overtaking Bob Backlund next? Is it Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, and Bruno in front of him?
Yeah, I think so.
So how far do they go with that? I can't imagine he's going to beat Bruno's.
No.
But do they want to keep this going until he overtakes Hulk Hogan? You think somebody's got to at some point?
Yeah, probably. They'll probably do it. I mean, I think Gunther's going to hit the Honky Tonk Man's record, just because I know they're gonna. I know they're going to want to take it off the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, it's about time, to be honest with you.
It was.
But yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see if that music hits, and if it is announced that Grayson Waller's got a section or the Grayson Waller effect, then yeah, I think a lot of people will be pretty sure that the Great One will be making his presence known.
So that gives us more. If that gives you an idea to what, if you wanted to watch SummerSlam, you just do it for that reason. Yeah, SmackDown this week, I wasn't a fan of it. Really, I thought it was run of the mill. Nothing. It was good. It was good. It was passable without being excellent. And I think I gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, 6. I might push to 6.5. I was thinking around a 6, to be honest. I've seen much better episodes of SmackDown, and it's relative, just because I score AEW 7 one week and SmackDown a 6, it's relative to what the shows that they kind of produce and they can come up with. So I've seen some really good SmackDown since I've been watching WWE again. Last week wasn't one. This one was better. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully when SummerSlam's gone, we can get back to some top tier weekly television again, because they're capable of it each and every week.
Yes, they are indeed. But there you go. There you have it. That was SmackDown. Well, obviously, there is the 2 go-home shows this week. Raw tonight, which we will probably do tomorrow. SmackDown on Friday, which we'll probably do Saturday at some point. There's no heavy rush to, we'll have to do it Saturday because obviously we've got SummerSlam. I believe Andy may be joining us for the SummerSlam review. Are we
doing a SummerSlam prediction show, or are we just doing a review?
Wow, well, maybe we should now. You've said it. You said it live on the recorder. So maybe we need to do that Friday.
We'll ask Twitter. If Twitter want a prediction show, we'll do a prediction show.
I will put that out there right now, and we'll see if they want us to do a SummerSlam prediction show. We will do that on Friday. I will.
Do you know I finished the AEW podcast with my Kenny Omega homage?
Yes.
I think you should be smelling with a certain someone he's perhaps cooking.
Smelling what?
I think you should smell what the Rock's cooking for your little sign off for this one. I think that'd go down well.
You want me to do the Rock's?
I think it'd be fitting. If I've got to be a performing monkey, then you've got to be too.
You chose to be the performing monkey on AEW.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair.
And you've messed it up twice out of the 3 times you've had to do it anyway.
I know. The one time I did it without thinking about it was the only time it went well. The other 2 times I've either said it wrong, started again, or said it in the wrong order.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was just trying to maybe think of an LA Knight way of ending the SmackDown review, but I can't think of how I could do it with LA Knight. You can't really say acknowledge me because we haven't. It's not really fit in for the show.
Go to the Rock then. Away you go.
You seriously want me to? You seriously want me to do this? I've got like
I think our audience demand it.
the audience demand it.
Yeah, I'm just checking Twitter.
Yeah, you're not even on Twitter, so don't even go there. Am I? I don't know.
If The Rock appears at SummerSlam, then you have to close out the SummerSlam review with it. How about that?
That I will do. If the Rock, I tell you what, if the Rock appears at SummerSlam, I will start the review with finally, and I'll end it with if you smell what the Rock is, if you smell the Rock is cooking, right?
But
That is fair, okay. But this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with the megastar. I was going to do my name.
here we go.
Here we go. That's it. That's no. Anyway, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast of the SmackDown Review Show. He has been Dave Robinson. I have been Adam Cousins, and we'll do this all again tomorrow, guys. But until then, buckle down and stay safe.